there is a personality trait that I have that kind of is is a problem, but it's also, it's helped me. And I don't, I never think of ramifications, and that's part of ADHD, but if you ask me anything, I just say, okay, and I show up. And I think that a lot of people overthink. We are our own worst enemies instinctually. Like, if somebody goes, you want to do that? Okay. Like, I think that the average person who was doing as well as I was in stand-up at the time in 1982, if they said, hey, we want to replace you on an ensemble dramatic show, they might have said no. No, I'm going to wait. I'd like to do a sitcom.
Yeah.
But I just say yes to everything. The one time I did say no, my wife said, you're an idiot, go do it.
That's comedian Howie Mandel. Full interview coming up in just a second. Before we get to that, I wanted to just tell you I'm back doing stand-up at Mohegan Sun Comics Comedy Club on the September 23rd to the 25th. Hope you guys can make it out. Looking forward to being back. It's been a while since COVID. Always a great time at the club. You go to their website for tickets, Comics, COMIX, Comedy Club, September 23rd to the 25th. And that was Howie Mandel talking about, he answered a question. I didn't expect the answer. I asked him, how his career has been not just successful, but so varied in different parts of the industry. And there you go. Just, he doesn't say no to anything, which I did not expect him to say. And also, listen to the full interview. You can hear the show that his wife told him he would be crazy not to take. And it was a really great conversation with him about his career and his path and his OCD and ADHD that he deals with. Just as an aside, I want to tell you how my name came about, my first name, Paul. My mother told me, the first time I ever heard this, she named me after the street we grew up on, Paul Street. Yeah, apparently not very romantic, but she put a lot of effort into it. I guess she was walking down the street, 9 months pregnant with me, and said, I got to come up with a name. Looked up and said, yeah, that'll do, and then went back to doing whatever she was doing. So there you go. Put a lot of effort into it. Thanks, Mom. I guess I should be thankful that she just wasn't sitting around the kitchen table trying to decide what to name me, and just, first thing that came into her sight of vision, she picked, could have been named Maker's Mark. A lot of that around the house. All right. Enjoy Howie Mandel, and hope to see you guys September 23rd to 25th, Mohegan Sun Comics Comedy Club. My guest this week has hosted the CNBC game show Deal or No Deal, is a judge on America's Got Talent, a terrific comedian, actually chosen one of Comedy Central's 100 greatest comedians. I think he paid him a little bit of money for that. No, I'm just kidding. Very, very funny guy, and a very nice guy who I met before, Howie Mandel, who has a new documentary, Howie Mandel, But Enough About Me. It's on Peacock right now. Great to have you on the show, Howie.
It's good to be here, Paul.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about this doc. It seems really interesting. And my initial thought is sort of, why did you decide to do a doc, and why now? Because those aren't easy to do. To do them right, you really have to sort of reveal your whole life.
Well, number one, I didn't decide. And why now is a great question. This Barry Average, who is the director-producer of it, who is an award-winning documentarian himself. In fact, his next one, I think, is heading off the Toronto Film Festival. He's done some heavy subjects. He came to me and he said, he's Canadian, and he said, I want to do a doc on you. And along with being pleasantly surprised and honored, I was a bit taken aback, because you usually do documentaries on the end of a career, and so I felt horrible about that. But I said okay, and I was honored. And he started doing the documentary, and then lo and behold, and anybody who knows anything about me, the one thing that kind of sticks out even more than my career is I'm a germaphobe.
Yeah.
People go, oh, even if they don't know I do comedy, or they don't watch AGT, or they watch anything, oh, you're the guy that doesn't shake hands.
Yeah.
And who would think that, a month into or 2 months into creating the documentary, there would be a pandemic. And I just got to credit Barry Average and the whole production staff, what they did to just get this.
Oh, you kept shooting through the pandemic.
Right, but I thought they did it. This is like overproduction. You don't have to do this whole thing for around the globe just to get me to react a certain way. Really,
yeah.
Because my life is, I felt, for the last 65 years, I wake up in horror living a pandemic. They created one just so that this documentary would be even sweeter than it is.
I kept saying on social media, I think Howie Mandel's behind this pandemic, but everybody thought I was crazy and they banned me from social media. But now I've been proven right. There you go.
No, Howie Mandel wasn't behind it. The production people that made this documentary.
There you go.
And the thing is, we were 2 months into production when this hit, and everybody had to go home, and everything was shut down. And I got a call like, "We can't stop. We still got to meet you." So they were. It was amazing how they created. They would set up cameras and then disinfect a place, and then I could go in, and then they would talk to me remotely, and it was just. But it was, horrifying, and. But at the same time, it kind of documented how I deal with just day-to-day life.
Yeah. How hard was it when you were starting out as a comic and an actor? And by the way, your acting was so good on St. Elsewhere.
Thank you very much.
I remember, this guy's funny, but I remember, and this was before I got into the business. I had another career, but when those moments had to get dramatic, you were really good. Were you trained as an actor? Because in knowing a bit about you, I know you came right into comedy. Where did those?
No, I did. I fell into comedy on a dare in '77,
right.
And then I did some young comedian specials and a bunch of things, and got a little bit of notoriety. And the next step in any comic's career at the time in the early '80s was getting a sitcom.
Right.
So I went and met with MTM, Mary Tyler Moore's company, because they were the consummate sitcom producers. They had done the Mary Tyler Moore show, the Bob Newhart show was on, and all these other. And the lovely lady who I met with, which is the head of casting, was Molly Lapata at the time. And she said, "Can you act?" And I said, "I don't know." And she gave me the side story.
That's awesome.
And I read, I'd never been in.
No, it's a great answer because it's honest. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, I can act. I did Shakespeare, whatever." That's the best answer, is just to be honest. That's great.
But apparently they were replacing somebody on a pilot that they had been shooting for about 7 days. That guy went on to do very well and had a career. David Paymer.
Oh, yeah.
The original Fiscus, and he got the Academy Award nomination for Mr. Saturday Night playing Billy Crystal's brother. So
he's terrific.
But that's who he was, the original Fiscus, and I took his place. That day, they were, and I had so I didn't chase it. I didn't. Everything has been kind of serendipitous, not easy, but lucky.
No, that was one of the things I wanted to bring up, is that you've been. I mean, you've had a great career, and some people have a great career in a certain lane, right? Like as a stand-up or a comedic actor or dramatic actor, but you've crossed a lot of lines all at a very high level, whether it's stand-up, dramatic acting, comedic acting, hosting. Is it planned? Because I kind of think it can't be. It's such a hard business to plan things, or it's sort of where you just...
But I'll tell you, there is a personality trait that I have that kind of is a problem, but it's also, it's helped me. And I don't, I never think of ramifications, and that's part of ADHD, but if you ask me anything, I just say, okay, and I show up. And I think that a lot of people overthink. We are our own worst enemies instinctually. Like if somebody goes, "You want to do that?" Okay. I think that the average person who was doing as well as I was in stand-up at the time in 1982, if they said, "Hey, we want to replace you on an ensemble dramatic show," they might have said no. I'm going to wait. I'd like to do a sitcom.
Yeah.
But I just say yes to everything. The one time I did say no, my wife said, "You're an idiot. Go do it." Was in 2005 when they offered me a game show. Like in 2005. Comedians did not do game shows. The last comedian before that did a game show was Groucho Marx, who did You Bet Your Life. And when your currency is comedy, the game show host was the punchline. You didn't want to be a game show host.
Yep.
My wife made me say yes. So it's just basically I think a lot of people have a lot of opportunities and they don't realize those are opportunities. They sound silly. They don't they're not open to it, and they just don't do it. And I kind of just do everything.
Well,
and
yeah.
Because of that, I have more failures than anybody too.
Not that many, though. Come on. I mean,
the failures aren't. They're not notorious. They don't mean anything to anybody. They don't get televised, or they don't get distributed, or it just turns out embarrassing. You don't hear about them because they failed.
Yeah.
You're only hearing about the things that.
But if you're not
few and far between.
Yeah, but if you're not putting yourself out there, you're not failing. That's all. That works fine. I mean, and look, the other thing that I tend to overthink things, and it's part of my training. I was a lawyer before I did this, and I work to be out of my head. But I do think we're also a club of comedy, the comedy world of comics. Like, you want to be doing the cool thing, right? Like, there's that thing, I think, that's always in the back of our heads. Like, do I want to take this? Will it be considered cool? But you're smart. And I mean,
for me, I've never been the cool guy. I was a pariah in school. I didn't have any friends. Even when I fell into comedy, it wasn't anything I aspired to do. Somebody dared me to get up on a comedy club in Toronto at Yuck Yucks. I got up. I didn't think of preparing or doing anything. In fact, if you look at my old tapes, it's like I got up on stage and I was just terrified. And I was trying to think of stuff in the moment. And I didn't have anything. So I'd start going, okay, all right, okay.
Oh, is that where that came from? Oh, that's awesome.
What that came from. And then they would start giggling like you are, and I didn't really understand because I hadn't been on stage, and I'd go, what? Okay, tell me, all right. Okay. And because I have OCD and I wouldn't touch things, I always had rubber gloves in my pockets for using public restrooms. And I pulled one out of my pocket because I had nothing to do, and I pulled it over my head, started breathing through my nose. The audience is laughing. And then it popped off my head. They applauded, and I ran off the stage. And Mark Breslin, who was the host of Yuck Yucks there, said, "You got to come back tomorrow night." I go, "Why?" And he goes, to do it again. I said, "To do what?" He goes, "Whatever it is you do." I go, "I was just terrified. I didn't do anything." And that became my act. And there was a lot of resentment, even when I came out to L.A. at the Comedy Store. I don't think other comics like me. My only friend in the business really was Jay Leno, who I'd met at Yuck Yucks. He picked me up at the airport and brought me there, and Mike Binder, the director, and he got me on at the Comedy Store. But for the most part, because I was silly, because I had props, other comics had absolutely no respect for me. And
who cares what they think?
Tough.
Yeah, I know. By the way, Jay's great. He helped me get my start in this business. I sold him a couple of jokes and hired me after that. He's been great to me. I could talk to you forever, and I'm going to maybe through my guys see if I can get you back on, and we can there's so much stuff about you that I want to get. But I know you're on a schedule, but I want people to see this doc. It gets pretty deep. It covers the mental illness that you've been dealing with, the ADHD and the OCD. It's But Enough About Me. It's on Peacock now. A great guy, very, very funny guy, and deserves all of his success. Great to have you on, man.
Thank you, buddy.
There you go. That's Howie Mandel. Again, September 23rd, 25th. Check me out. Come on out. Hang out. Have some laughs. Have a few drinks. Don't get COVID. Comics Comedy Club, September 23rd to the 25th. And spread the word about the podcast. And check out my YouTube channel as well. And we'll see you guys next week.